Hey, Brass Facts here. This is my review of the Holosun 403. The specific model being shown here is the 403B, which means single dot, no fancy reticles. No solar panel and no auto on-off. Just a simple red dot. You can get these on Amazon right now for $160. It comes with a lower 1/3 mount or a flush mount. In the video you see both rifles equipped with a flush mount. The mount and optic are also aim point micro patterns, so that is the T1, H1, T2, etc. So there's a large market already for aftermarket mounts. Battery is stored in a compact compartment underneath the optic here and requires a special tool to remove. It uses a watch battery or a Sierra 2032 battery. Claimed battery life is about 50,000 hours. Turrets are capped and adjusted in a similar fashion to the aim point, with little notches in the actual protective caps to turn the zero. This optic is also night vision compatible. There's very little distortion from the lens tint, which is both good and bad. I'd put it on par with the aim points and definitely better than the Trichicons. The Trichicons have a very aggressive tint, which does help with battery life. There's also no lens distortion either, not that I noticed. The brightness, contrary to having a very low tint level, is sufficient. The max brightness setting is just enough needed to be bright enough in daylight use, sometimes maybe even too bright. This sets it apart from other budget competitors like Primary Arms, which use a similar tint level but are not bright enough in an extreme daylight setting, like out in the desert or a flashlight in a pitch black environment. As for the battery, I've had it cranked on full power on both of the rifles I've been testing it on. Still going strong after 6 months. Wait, have I been saying both rifles? The pistol and the rifle. Don't tase me, ATF. Not a full test, but it lets me know roughly if they're bullshitting on the power setting. Some other optics, like the Aimpoint Pro and certain SIG optics for example, are advertised for high battery life, but die on full power relatively fast. In the case of the Aimpoint Pro, for example, it starts dipping in brightness after about 7 months. Alright, let's head inside and take a closer look at these guys. And also because I've run out of B-roll footage. Both of these optics have sit on these rifles for a collective total of 2,600 rounds. 600 on the Strybog, and 2,000 exactly on the AK. Ran through both of the boxes and now I'm out of AK ammo. Kinda sucks. On the AK especially, it experienced quite violent conditions. The gas block got extremely hot, so much so that all the temperature transferred to the optic and I could not touch the optic. Honestly, I expected this to melt the glue on the inside, stuff to rattle loose, or the circuitry to just begin to melt or deform. However, not a single issue. This is contrary to the Primary Arms optic, which didn't even make it this far. It was sat on an AR and cooked to death in the summer heat lying on the desert floor and immediately had to be returned because it was straight up non-functional. I've tested both of these rifles recently and they both are still zeroed. Onto my actual opinion, there's not too much to say here. They're red dots. If they work, then they work, and I don't really care about much anything else. I got the Holosun versions with none of the features, auto adjust, whatever. They're just simply dots. The dot quality is average on these guys, but considering I have astigmatism, honestly it's a crapshoot if this applies to you. In closing, I'm generally not a fan of budget optics. A lot of them really miss the mark, especially after prolonged use, and I have no qualms not recommending them for any kind of serious use. How about this Holosun? Up for duty use? Serious use? Something to bank your life on? Maybe. That's up to the user to decide based off of mine and many other reviews. Is it just as good as a high-end red dot, like an Aimpoint? No. While the Aimpoint is certainly extremely pricey, and there is some pedigree and brand cost to it, it is also a factor of excellent QA, material choice, and expensive labor. That is the price for out-of-the-box confidence. However, the Holosun certainly punches above its weight class, and this 403 is a really, really good deal. I think this shows the beginning of the maturing of the high-value optics category, which may not be over-engineered to survive any contingency, but are most certainly up to the task of being a duty-rated optic. This has been Brass Facts for you. Thanks for watching.